Well, let's get crack-a-lackin'. As you know, this video is over the Deadwoods.
No, it's not. This video is over Irish folk tales and creatures, and you're gonna like it.
That's right. We're going to be getting into some Irish folk tales and the little cryptids and creatures involved in them. We got ourselves a bona fide follow-up episode. Sure, I'm not doing specifically follow-up episode to the Croatian folktales video, although I want to do a little bit more on that subject. I don't know if I'll be going all out for a video on that. Instead, I'm kind of looking towards going over creatures from different areas of the world, kind of seeing any overlap and anything that's different. I mean, there's probably going to be the same type of critter in different areas. Speaking of overlap on the type of creatures and mythical beings that you'll see across the plane, we're going to get started with the Abertak. Yes, sir. We have ourselves a certified vampire. Something of a creepy creature, this guy is. The Abertak is a ruler, or used to be a ruler, and treated his subjects fairly poorly. This scary, creepy man, or should I say, creature, because this was no man. This was a creature of the night, an absolute monster. Anyway, the Abertak, this monster, haunted the area of Slataverty, a area in Northern Ireland. And as I mentioned, it was a tyrannical and oppressive ruler of sorts, mistreating all of the citizens and all of the people in the area on its conquest for blood and draining the life force of all around it. Now, all of the people were tired of this shit. It's awful. They're being taken off and killed and made into Capri Suns for this absolute beast. They're sick of it. They're being taken out of their village, taken out of your bed. You're like, what? What's going on? I'm trying to sleep here. And while you're trying to sleep, some crazy creature that's ruling over your area just picks you up and you're a Capri Sun. You have all the blood, it's gone. You don't have it anymore. You're dead and you're gone. And you're not coming back, and you're not as crazy immortal as this guy is. So what do? You don't do anything. Your children, your kin are gonna have to find somebody who can fight this thing, because let's face it, they ain't gonna be able to do it. So the villagers and the people of Slataverty found themselves a hero who could save them. They found a warrior named Cathane. I am sorry. That is most likely very incorrect on the pronunciation. And they got this warrior to defeat Abertak. And all was cool for a little bit. I mean, you got your oppressive ruler gone. Nobody's a Capri Sun anymore. It's all cool, and they say thank you, hero, thank you for killing this bastard. But as I mentioned, the Abertak is a vampire, which means that's right. It means he's gonna come back. He's gonna be crazy, and he's gonna come back, and he's gonna start making people into Capri Suns again. And Cathane wasn't having it. He was here to kill the monster, and that's exactly what he was gonna do. So he killed Abertak again. He put him in the ground. He's gone. He doesn't have to worry about him again. But this son of a bitch just keeps coming back. He keeps coming back, and he's kind of mad. I don't know why. He's just a little pissed. So they're gonna have to find a different way to kill this thing. Cathane sought the wisdom of a wise druid to be able to kill Abertak once and for all. The wise old druid, decided to tell Abertak that he has to do a special method of killing him. The druid told Cathane that he's gonna have to kill Abertak with a sword made of yew and then bury that bastard upside down so he just can't crawl back. And guess what? It worked. Abertak did not come back, and the people were freed of his oppressive rule. Our next creature is the puka. We're getting into a less dangerous overall type of critter and more into a mischievous, kind of annoying little critter. The puka is a shape-shifting menace. It goes around acting all strange and mischievous, shape-shifting and bringing both good and bad fortune, which is a common trend with a lot of these different folktales. As stated, the puka can shapeshift into many different things and doesn't really have a definitive known origin form. Interpretations of what the puka looks like can vary across a lot of different fields. Some depict the puka as some sort of small, weird-looking goblin like those in the County Down. In County Leith, it is depicted as more of a boogeyman. At Waterford and Wexford, it's depicted more as an eagle with an enormous wingspan. And still more in areas like Roscommon, it is depicted as a black goat. To be completely honest, the different depictions of the puka is very intriguing and just overall shows that depending on the area, it's described quite differently. In fact, in the Cairn part of County Clare in Ireland, there's been a statue of the puka that's about 2 meters tall that's been erected as well there that has its own interpretation of what the puka looks like. So yeah, there's a lot of mischievous little buggers like the puka in Ireland. And that's what brings us to the Farjarg. The Farjarg, or Red Man, is kind of like a more evil leprechaun. The Farjarg runs around all crazy and stuff like a little menace. A lot of these things are small menaces. And he goes around causing chaos, causing a ruckus, just being an overall, kind of being an asshole. They're also known to be called rat boys because of how they look and their overall complexion. They're also described as having mainly red in their outfit, from a red cap to a red coat. Their entire fit is nothing but red, and these guys just kind of wander around and do whatever they want to piss people off. In Fairy and Folk Tales of the Irish Peasantry by Yeats, he's described as just straight up taking babies and replacing them with changelings. That's right, just and now the baby is gone and there's a changeling now. See what I mean by just an evil leprechaun? Anyway, just overall kind of a crazy little fella, kind of a sneaky little dude, up to no good. Up to no good. In the peaks of Ben Macdui is known to be a ghost of great proportion. The Amfairly Amor is a large gray ghost, or the gray man ghost, presiding in great altitudes of Ben Macdui of the Cairngorms. In 1925, J. Norman Cully, a respected figure, found themselves in an encounter. with the ghost. Clouding itself in fog, the Amphir Leomor pursued from a distance. It's known as being shrouded in both mist and fog, and overall just being a spooky and scary presence in the altitudes. Most accounts that come from encountering this ghostly creature describe it as having lots of weird sounds and winds from figures that can be almost hard to make out to impossibly high singing notes. The fair Leamor is definitely a frightening sight. Now might be the time to lighten the mood with a little bit of a more whimsical creature, but I'm about out of those, except for one. We're going to be moving into the Olefeist. Almost considered to be some sort of queen of demons, the Olefeist is a giant serpent. And if you are familiar with a lot of Irish folklore, as well as any religious folklore, then you've heard of the tale of St. Patrick driving out the serpents and snakes from Ireland. Well, you had your normal snakes and just little crawling critters that were cast out, and then you have stuff like this. The Olefeist being described as being so massive, even as vast as the sea itself, almost marketing every water that it comes across. In one of the folk tales about the Olefeist, a piper named O'Rourke found himself to be the food of the Olefeist. He got gobbled up, he got swallowed, and now he's in the belly of the beast. But O'Rourke was also drunk, and I don't know if this helped his case or hurt it, but he ended up playing his pipe the entire time until the Olefeist decided it had enough of this shit and spit him out. And that's pretty crazy. That's pretty groovy, and I think that might have been one of the reasons the Olefeist had itself a bit more troubles than it may have needed. It's messing with pipers and it's messing with drunk men. Two things you never want to find yourself facing. And hey, we just talked about what's considered to be the queen of demons by some. Now let's talk about the king of demons. Often seen as the full personification of drought, plague, and all woe, who do we got other than Balor of the Evil Eye? This insane giant with one giant eye, whether that be in interpretations of him being a cyclops or just having one eye that when open causes destruction, Balor is overall not a fun guy to deal with, especially if you're on his bad side. In some ways, he seemed to be a tyrant warrior of the Fomorians. So Balor has pretty much the ability to kill anything with his giant eye, and he leads Fomorians and demons to cause chaos and havoc and evil works throughout the land. Only being able to be killed by his grandson Lu in the Battle of Moitara. Now, how do you kill something so crazy? Well, we'll get to that, but just overall, what you need to know is that he's so absolutely massive. He's such a hefty big boy that when he was finally slain, he killed over 25 of his own soldiers just from falling down. Eventually, how did he get killed? It was mainly because that during the battle, he had a glass over his eye to protect it so that he could cast his terrible gaze upon all that it befell. But he was tricked into being able to take the glass off, and in that time, his eye was extinguished, therefore leaving him pretty much left to die. Now, there's a lot of different folklore having to do with Balor, and specifically Irish folklore has him being a tyrant who opposes Ireland completely from his helm on Tory Island. But in multiple interpretations, the giant, almost poisonous eye placed on Balor's forehead was extinguished in one way or another, and this god of drought eventually dried out. There's a lot more with Balor, especially with prophecies on how he was to be defeated, as well as prophecy on how he came to be in folklore. There is a lot more lore specifically for this creature because it's less of a creature and more of a figure in Irish folklore that could be its own video, to be completely honest. And that was a cool tale, but I'm gonna pull out my last actually whimsical creature with the Seelie and the Unseelie. The Seelie and Unseelie are the Irish folktale fairies. The Seelie being the more positive and good luck type of fairy, and the Unseelie being more of a mischievous, almost darker version of the Seelie. Throughout Seelie lore, there is talk of wights or blessings that can be associated with the fairies, especially in them being perceived as forest spirits and bringing good luck and good fortune to those who are in the terms of being able to receive such blessing. In fact, the Seelies themselves are kind of divided into courts, being the Seelie and Unseelie courts as specified earlier, the Seelie being not specifically hostile, although being able to take action regarding any insults towards themselves, but the Unseelie are just being seen as able to attack without any provocation whatsoever, and overall just hostile little insects. But as specified in the Ballad of Alison Gross, the Seelie are usually seen and depicted as a positive and beneficial force. And our final creature that we're going to be looking at is the Muerdris. Being a monster of epic proportions and having the ability to kill and disfigure almost anything it comes across. Fergus MacLetty, the King of Ulster, is the main figure associated with folklore around the Muerdris. He's told as being a good swimmer and eventually wanted to swim in the area the Muerdris was inhabiting. And although the king had received gifts and blessings to be able to swim almost anywhere he pleased, he was still not allowed to swim in the realm, in the domain of the Muerdris. But the king was stubborn, and he found ways around it. He eventually found himself swimming in that same spot and was horribly disfigured by the encounter. Sure, he didn't die, not yet, but he was disfigured. He was not aware of the disfigurement, however. That only came later on. For years, people were able to keep that from him, and only when a mistake happened and he found out about it, he swore revenge on Muerdris. The king went back, and the battle lasted a day and a night, and eventually the king emerged victorious, holding the head of the Muerdris as victory. But the Muerdris still did quite a number on the guy, and he collapsed and died immediately afterwards. To be honest, there wasn't a ton of great info on Muerdris. There was a pretty good article I found online, but I'm not the best researcher, I'll tell you that much. But the people at Puka Print House, which I will link down below, is a little store that sells posters of creatures and cryptids and folklore of different countries. Had a lot of different creatures I couldn't find specifically online, and that helped me look out for more creatures for this video. And for that, if any of those people that are involved with that watch this video, thanks a lot. It helped and I think I'll be picking up one of those posters. But that was our last creature of this video. I hope you all liked it, but if you didn't and you still wanted a Deadwoods video, then I don't care. You can go watch something else, or you can finish. Actually, while you're at it, why don't you finish this video? And I'm just going to keep making stuff until I eventually maybe make a Deadwoods video. So you don't have to worry about it. It'll eventually happen. It'll eventually happen. It'll be fine. Anyway, as always, I'm your host, Fergus, and thank you for tuning in. I will see all of you beautiful people next time. I'm probably not gonna make the Deadwoods video. You're just gonna have to deal with that if you're looking forward to it. Thank you though.